What is the meaning of life? Above all, is it possible to really find it? And does it even make sense to ask? Since the beginning of time, man has asked himself these fundamental questions, seeking answers that can shed light on his choices, his pains, and his joys. Fyodor Dostoevsky, one of the greatest writers and thinkers in history, dedicated his life and works to exploring these very questions, pushing beyond superficial appearances and certainties. In this video, we will analyze 3 of his masterpieces, exploring the profound themes that run through them and trying to understand the vision he left us as a legacy. Born in Moscow in 1821, Dostoevsky is considered one of the greatest writers in history. His extraordinarily dramatic life experiences shaped a unique vision of existence that still resonates deeply today. Raised in a middle-class family, he showed an early interest in philosophy and literature. Yet the path that led him to become such an influential author was anything but linear. After a period of military engineering studies, he decided to abandon that career to devote himself to writing. In 1846, his first novel, Poor Folk, received critical acclaim and marked the beginning of a promising career. But it was 1849 that radically changed his life. He was arrested following his involvement in a revolutionary group that dared to openly criticize the Tsarist regime, challenging an authoritarian power that left no room for dissent. His death sentence was implacable, and on the day of his execution, he was forced to live a nightmare, waiting for the final blow that seemed imminent. At the very last moment, when all seemed lost, an imperial pardon arrived. The sentence was commuted to 4 years of hard labor in Siberia, followed by 6 years of military service. This was not only a turning point in his life but an experience that transformed him radically. Years spent in extreme conditions, deprived of freedom and immersed in desolation, led him to confront the rawest nature of human existence. Pain, suffering, and the struggle for survival became the central themes of his future works. That episode marked an irreparable fracture, but at the same time, fueled a unique creative depth, which would give life to immortal masterpieces capable of exploring the darkest folds of the human soul. Returning to St. Petersburg in 1859, he began writing with a new intensity, addressing universal themes such as pain, guilt, redemption, and freedom. Among his first literary masterpieces after exile is Notes from Underground, published in 1864, considered one of the first great psychological novels in world literature. The narration is entrusted to an anonymous protagonist who defines himself as sick and unpleasant. Through his point of view, Dostoevsky explores the limits of human rationality and questions the nature of free will. One of the central reflections of the work concerns the irrationality of the human being. Often, we choose to act against our own interests, not out of madness, but to affirm a freedom that transcends any logic. To reconnect with the title of this content, I would like to highlight a profound lesson that we can draw from this work. Dostoevsky shows that the meaning of life lies in the freedom to be true, authentic, even when this freedom seems contradictory or irrational. Through the anonymous protagonist, the author invites us to reflect on an essential truth. Man is not made only to follow rational logic or social conventions, but to affirm himself, even when this leads to pain or misunderstanding. The meaning of life, therefore, is not in perfection or success, but in the ability to embrace the complexity of existence. Every choice, even the most seemingly irrational, brings us closer to a deeper understanding of ourselves. And it is in this search that we find the true meaning of living, the constant search. Does this resonate with you? Another masterpiece is Crime and Punishment, published in 1866. The novel follows the story of Raskolnikov, a former student who kills 2 women to prove his theory that certain extraordinary people have the right to break moral laws in the name of a greater good. Yet the weight of guilt and the investigations surrounding him lead him on a journey of redemption. Dostoevsky, in this story, does not limit himself to exploring the mind of a tormented man, but addresses profound philosophical and moral questions, pushing us to reflect on the meaning of justice and the possibility of forgiveness. This novel offers a key lesson for understanding the meaning of life according to Dostoevsky. True greatness lies not in strength or ambition, but in the ability to face one's own sins, accept suffering, and seek redemption. Raskolnikov, through torment and remorse, discovers that the meaning of existence is not in the affirmation of power but in the authentic connection with others and in the possibility of starting over. This reminds us that every mistake, however serious, can be the starting point for a new beginning, for a transformation. Here, the meaning of life is found in the path of reconciliation with oneself and with the world. Among Dostoevsky's last works is The Brothers Karamazov, published in 1880. This monumental novel focuses on the family drama of 4 children, 3 legitimate brothers and a half-brother, who are involved in the murder of their father. Each character embodies a vision of the world. Dmitri represents passion, Ivan represents reason, Alyosha represents faith, and Smerdyakov represents hatred. Through these figures, the writer explores issues such as free will, morality, and the meaning of existence, showing how the conflict between these perspectives is inevitable and necessary to understand the human being. This novel offers another important piece to understanding the meaning of life according to Dostoevsky. The human condition is inevitably marked by internal conflicts and contrasts with others. But it is precisely in these clashes, between faith and reason, passion and hate, that the deepest meaning of existence emerges. Through the comparison between the 3 brothers, the philosopher invites us to reflect on a universal truth. Life is never linear, but it is in the tension between opposites that our growth develops. Furthermore, Alyosha's search for hope and compassion, Ivan's tormented rationalism, and Dmitri's visceral passion show that the meaning of life is not in a single perspective but in the balance we seek between all the forces that pass through us. So, can we say that Dostoevsky's legacy is the awareness that the true meaning of life lies in its very complexity and in the continuous search for harmony among the conflicts that define us? Despite a life marked by economic hardship, bereavement, and illness, Dostoevsky always maintained a clear and profound vision of the human condition. His ability to intertwine psychology, philosophy, and spirituality influenced generations of thinkers, including Nietzsche and Sartre. It was not just about telling stories, but about creating mirrors in which human beings could observe their own contradictions, fears, and hopes. As one of his characters said, "Man is a mystery. It must be solved, and if you spend your whole life solving it, don't say you've wasted your time. I study this mystery because I want to be a man." This sentence sums up the heart of Dostoevsky's work, the continuous search for meaning, even in the most desperate conditions. What else can we learn from his worldview today? Is there still room to reflect on freedom, guilt, and redemption as he did?